Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The recent wildfires have caused direct damage estimated to be in the billions of dollars, and any disruption to the oil sand production will hamper Alberta's economic sustainability. As other areas of Alberta are also susceptible to wildfires, it is assumed that much of Alberta's economic activity will appropriately be shifted to disaster recovery. To the Minister of Energy, what has been done in the last week to reassure Council Generals, investors, and others that Alberta will continue to be open for business?
Minister of Municipal Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we fully recognize the importance of the energy industry to this province, and not only to the province, but to the whole entire country that we live in. And so, Mr. Speaker, that's why we're committed to working with our industry partners. And in fact, the Premier and Minister of Energy are meeting with key representatives today to have the conversations about how to restore that industry as quickly as possible in a safe, efficient, orderly fashion.
First supplemental.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Given that Alberta's forested areas are key aspects of carbon cycle in Alberta by storing carbon as they grow and releasing it as plant material is used or burned, and given that many Alberta jobs depend directly on forest through harvesting timber and touring guests into or through forested areas, and given that these industries are now being rendered inoperable, to the Minister of Forestry, what supports will be made available to the companies and individuals operating in this sector as they look to return to work?
Honourable Minister of Forestry.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and the member for the important question. It's important to note that the vast majority of the forested area, the green area in Alberta, has been allocated to a forestry company for forest management agreements, and the forestry industry, I'm pleased to say, has been doing very well. Will continue to do very well. Some challenges on the horizon, but I see no reason to think that the forestry industry is going to see a large hit from this disaster or otherwise going forward, knowing there are some challenges. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Second supplementary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Given that the recent wildfires showed the values of road to Alberta's remote communities, and given that Highway 63, which is a key lifeline for industry, became a lifeline for evacuation and supplies, and given that many other remote communities are difficult to access and expensive to supply in normal circumstances, never mind in an emergency, to the Minister of Infrastructure or Transport, are you considering any partnership with private builders to stimulate the economy and improve access to rural communities?
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the very good question. We're doing a great deal of work, both in transportation and in infrastructure, to reach out to our stakeholders to develop and strengthen the partnerships that we have. We've restored funding to the STIP program, which the previous government had allowed to lapse, which will improve rural transportation and provide options for rural municipalities to assist in economic development, Mr. Speaker. So yes, in our response to his question, we are doing a great deal to work with our partners in rural Alberta and in the private sector in order to improve the rural economy and the transportation of goods and people.